Let's go to Eugene for the third-ranked team, the Oregon Ducks, in our preview, as voted on by you, the Jimmies and the Joes. Trey, I'm going to turn this over to you because in an effort to not start this on a sour note, I'm curious to hear from someone who has not tweeted that they are just out on Oregon this year. What do you like about this team? Dante Moore comes in at quarterback. Dan Lanning has obviously recruited very well. He's put together a solid defense. But this is not going to be the same team that went 13-0 last year and made it to the Rose Bowl and won a Big Ten championship. It feels like if there was a year for Oregon to maybe regress and take a step back, 2025 might be the year. Am I off?
So you want the optimistic picture for Oregon?
Well, I want your honest assessment of Oregon.
Oh, okay, because I was gonna have to turn it over to Garrett because I really tried to I tried to not read your preview article, Mitch, and come up with my own research and try to have my own takes on these teams. But man, if Oregon's ever gonna have a down year, it feels like this one, doesn't it? Because let me start with what I like about the Ducks. Sure. I love the pass rush. I think the pass rush is going to be elite once again. They've got Uiagalelei, Tuioti. I think Bryce Bodicher at the linebacker position is maybe one of the best linebackers in the conference. All four starters are back in the second at the cornerback and safety positions. So defense looks like there's going to be some solid continuity there, maybe creating some havoc plays, helping the offense. I'm really concerned about the offense, though. I'm really concerned about the last time we saw Dante Moore in a full-time starting role. It wasn't great at UCLA. He gets thrown into the fire week really early with a Penn State whiteout game. I'm not excited about that potential. He lost Tez Bryant as his go-to receiver. He lost Evan Stewart to injury, it looks like, unless we have an update on that. I haven't seen one.
But torn patellar tendon. He's out for at least the majority of the year.
So maybe at the end of the year, but yeah, likely out. We're going to need to see more, the two Moores, right? Dante and also DeCorian, the guy that you and I got to see live quite a bit, calling you more than me, but the guy out of Duncanville, Texas, that left my jaw on the floor multiple times a game when I got to see him play live at Duncanville. So they're going to need both of those guys to make an instant impact to not see a drop-off on offense. And it's possible. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Oregon's going to go 8-4 or worse. I think they have the talent, obviously, to be right there back up at the top of the Big Ten. And if they go back to the Big Ten championship game this year, I will not be shocked at all. But if Oregon was ever going to have a down year, I think it's this year.
Yeah. And I wrote, first of all, appreciate you siding with me in my research, even though you didn't read the preview. I wrote that a down year and being out, quote unquote, on Oregon for me is 10-2. What I mean by out is not that they're going to collapse, not that they're going to take this huge step backwards, that they're going to go 7-5 or 8-4. But when we talk about Oregon being a national championship contender and chasing that elusive first trophy, I don't believe that they're one of those teams that can be the final one standing. Now, that may age like milk, and come January or whenever we wrap up the college football season now, is it early February at this point, that, if Dan Lanning's raising that first trophy, then, obviously I'm going to give him his flowers, and this section of the podcast is going to go triple platinum. But the questions on the offense, aside from Mekhi Hughes, who is an excellent piece, comes up from Tulane, back-to-back 1,400-yard seasons in New Orleans. I love what Oregon is going to be able to do on the ground.
And Noah Whittington, too. Noah Whittington is an awesome compliment to Mekhi Hughes.
But when you think of Oregon football and what has made them successful these last few years, it has been being able to throw the football down the field. And it's been excellent quarterback play that they've gotten most recently from Bo Nix and then from Dillon Gabriel. And I just don't know that we're going to get anywhere close to the production that you've seen from those two past quarterbacks with Dante Moore. I'm not saying he won't. I'm not saying that he can't scratch that surface. I just don't know, because what little we've seen of him has been such kind of strikes and gutters. It's hard to make an accurate projection forward. You talked about the wide receiver corps being a little bit thinner, a little bit more unproven. Yes. DeCorian Moore is a stud. You talk about a guy that's going to be a future all-conference nomination, a future All-American. It's DeCorian Moore, the number one wide receiver in the class, high school class from last season. But again, he's going to have that learning curve. He is going to have some ups and downs. And while Jeremiah Smith did it last year at Ohio State to an elite level, he also wasn't asked to just carry the offense on his shoulders, right? Everybody else around him was a proven 4 or 5-star. And I don't feel like Oregon quite has that continuity coming back this year on the offensive side. Now, the flip side of the coin is, could Oregon do what Michigan has done over these last couple of years? Could they win a championship by the defense? That was a proven storyline all year last year. You talked about what they've got, especially at the linebacking core, maybe one of the best linebacking cores in the entire country. Along the defensive line, they've got some interesting pieces. They add Bear Alexander, who comes from USC. Will he be more physical? Will he be more focused on the on-field product than the NIL packages off the field? We're going to have to figure that out. Dylan Thieneman comes over from Purdue, one of the best safeties in the country. He automatically upgrades that Oregon secondary that was last seen getting torched by Ohio State in the Rose Bowl. Theron Johnson at cornerback comes over from Northwestern. So on the defense, I look at Dan Lanning's team and I go, check, check, check. You did everything right that you needed to do in this offseason to keep them at a championship contender. For me, it is truly just the offense and the lack of a perceived norm of what I know about Oregon Ducks football that's got me thinking 10-2, and sure, they might make the playoff, but I'm not right now considering them a national championship contender.
Man, you guys are all the way out on Oregon, man. It's I'd swear you guys are talking about them like they're about to go win 6 games this year, man. We don't trust the quarterback. Nobody's coming back on the line of scrimmage, man. A bunch of unproven receivers. I mean, enough about the Texas Longhorns, right? Like, we're talking about the same team model, a great coach that we think we can trust, a young quarterback who's got the talent. We just hadn't really seen it yet. Bunch of new faces on the offensive line. It sounded like the team in Texas as well. I don't know if that's what we're meaning to do. I don't know if you guys are saying that we're also going to expect a big step back from the Texas Longhorns this year.
That's next week.
That's next week. We'll get there.
I'm just saying, it sounds like the same team for me. So I'm going to expect here when we talk about this in a week that we keep the same energy. I'm kind of with you guys on Oregon. Okay, I'm just kind of with you guys. I think that someone has to lose. I think it's probably them, right? Like, if someone has to take that step back, I think it's probably Oregon that takes the step back. I don't think that they have what it takes to really get it done. I'm with you guys on the quarterback thing. I do think that he's talented, and I think the pieces around him are going to make his life a lot easier than they did at UCLA. But I do think that, yeah, there's going to be a learning curve for him, and I don't want to throw him into some of those positions he's going to be in early. But again, I think this is too well coached of a team for them to take a big step back. I think that this is still going to be a very good team that's in a little bit of a down year. This is kind of a reload, and I don't know that they quite have the pieces for it. Might be a slight swing downwards. I think 10-2 might be a decent line for them. Maybe a 9-3 if they just, can't quite figure it out at the quarterback position. But I'm not going to doubt a Dan Lanning team. That they have looked way too good over the last couple of seasons figuring it out. Here's the only big problem for me. The Dan Lanning teams have yet to really figure it out on the biggest stage. Right? When they get to the biggest stage and that ultimate moment where they really got to come up in the clutch, they have kind of faltered, right? A couple years ago with Washington, and then last year, ultimately in the Rose Bowl, they faltered when they got to the big moment, right? You don't want to see that anymore. Don't know that they'll have that opportunity this year to show that they've overcome that, but it is kind of the next step for this program. It's interesting to watch and see. Again, I don't necessarily think that you guys are off in the evaluations. I just want to maybe pump the brakes on doubting them too much. It's still a very good team, and they might have the best running back in the conference. I believe in Mekhi Hughes. I think he's a great running back. I think he's going to light things up, and if I have to have a quarterback who I'm a little iffy on, I like being able to let him turn around and hand the ball to Mekhi Hughes.
I do want to correct myself real quick before someone comes at me in the comments. I misread my notes. They don't bring back all 4 of their corners and safeties from last year. They lose all 4 of their corners and safeties from last year.
They do.
Misread my notes on that one. But question for you guys. What record would shock you for Oregon on the low end? What would you look at and what you would say?
I'd be
Wow,
shocked at 8-4.
I was out on Oregon for Mitch or Garrett. You're obviously higher on them than us, but what would shock you guys on the low end?
8-4 would shock me.
8-4.
Okay, so you would not be shocked by 9-3.
Not necessarily. I think that requires at Penn State to be a definite loss. Indiana could still be really, really good. Iowa could be, as good as you guys are definitely hyping them up to be. I'm with you guys. They're a good team, but if they perform up to that ceiling, then yeah, Iowa could probably get them too. But if they lose another one of those games in addition to all those three, like I'd be shocked at this point.
Their closing stretch is disgusting. At Iowa, Minnesota, USC, at Washington. Like, yeah, I mean, there are definite landmines down the back end of that schedule. 9-3 would be like, oh, that's disappointing. 8-4 would bring serious questions to my mind.
I think 8-4 is the shock line for me too. I can look at the schedule and I can get them to 9-3 actually. Relative, like I don't think a ton of things need to go wrong to get them to 9-3. 8-4 would be kind of the shocking one. Anything less than that, we're starting to have some really serious questions, and we need to go find a quarterback, probably ASAP in the portal.
Now, flip side on all that, if they walk in there on the 27th and bust down the door at Beaver Stadium and just go in there and whoop some tail and show off, you can go ahead and look at the number one team and probably let them sit there for several weeks, because this team still has the positive upside, right? Like, I don't think any of us are doubting that. Like, I think all of us would say we could envision a world where this team lives up to what the hype is and finds a way to go undefeated.
I don't know that I'd go so far as to say undefeated. I wouldn't go that far.
No chance. You can't find the way.
I don't find a way to undefeated.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, I see what Garrett's saying. Like, if they do beat Penn State, like in theory, have they proven that they have the ability to go undefeated? Sure. The likelihood of that happening is.
I'm just saying, you don't think there's any chance that like Dante Moore took a year off and he's actually a really talented passer?
There's a chance, yeah.
And like maybe UCLA was the issue for him, and it wasn't that he's like a bad quarterback. It's just the fact that he was playing in kind of a bad system.
Go watch the Utah tape from that year.
I'm not defending it. It was bad. It was really bad.
It was a Chip Kelly offense. That was about as gift wrapped an offensive scheme as it probably should have been. But we'll see. Again, this is part of the exercise, right? This is part of what we believe as all three of our storylines hinted at in the last episode. Like, the conference is deep, and just because you have an Oregon Duck on the side of your helmet does not necessarily mean that you're going 12-0, right? Like, there are going to be more landmines than ever throughout the course of a season. And to Garrett's point, like, teams that have walked in and beaten Penn State, thinking of Ohio State namely, it's on the back of a really good running game. It's not necessarily bombing the ball down the field, right? It's looking at Penn State's top 5 ranked rush defense and going, we don't care. We're running it through your face. We're going halfback dive, right? We're going power over the left tackle. And that has been the formula for success in beating Penn State over the last couple of years in conference play.
Well, and the only big point that I'm trying to make here is that I'm picking Oregon, like you guys, to take a little bit of a step backwards. But for me, this is that one team that I'm picking to take a step back that I'm most afraid of getting flamed for when they go undefeated this year. Like, I just think this is that one team that, like, oh, I'm going to say Oregon's not that good, and here's why. And then they're just going to go win the Big Ten and, be the number 1 seed or something like that. Like, it wouldn't shock me if that were the case. I'm a little afraid that it happens, if I'm being honest. I don't think that it will, but I'm a little afraid of it happening.
Well, again, like, just level setting expectations, taking the step back for the preview's sake is 10-2, right? Not 8-4. But we'll see. We'll see if Dante Moore comes out and lights the world on fire, then boy, we're going to have some crow to eat early on in the schedule.